So if you have a GPSMAP 66 series and you've updated the firmware lately, you might have noticed that Garmin introduced the ability to navigate by courses. And kudos to Garmin for doing that. This is an older unit that could have just waited for newer units. It's a great thing to have. It's another tool in the navigation toolbox for the 66, and it's kind of like a hybrid between a track and a route. You can plan essentially a course out beforehand, and that's really where the power lies, in very specific trails and paths or whatever it might be, using a course, send it to the device, and then navigate with it as if it's a route. So get prompts and ETAs to the next point and all the things that you're used to on a route that you can't do with a track on the 66. So in that respect, it's really great. There are some rough edges, and it's not as slick as the experience you'd get on a wearable like a Phoenix 7 or a Epix Gen 2, but it definitely is helpful. And in this video, I'll show you what a course is all about. We'll create a course, we'll send it to the unit, and then navigate with it so you understand what the experience is like. Now, as we go, if you have any questions, go to YouTube and check out the comments. I might have answered it already, and if I didn't answer it, just leave me a question, and I will do my best to answer it on there. I'm pretty good about answering them on YouTube. If you like the video, if you find it helpful, if you can give me a thumbs up, that's always appreciated. And a big thank you to everyone who supported me now and over the years. I could not do all of this without you, so thank you, thank you, thank you for that. All right, let's hop on the computer to start our dive into courses. All right, so before we begin, let's just talk about where a course fits into the navigation frameworks that are already on the GPSMAP 66 units, which is a track and a route. And you're probably familiar with these if you're using a GPSMAP now. Now, a track is simply a series of waypoints all strung together into a path, basically. And when you save an activity, you can export it to a track, and a lot of times you can save it directly to a track. And if I save this thing, we hit OK, and if we click on it and edit it, you'll see there are all of the breadcrumb points along the way where I clicked. And when you navigate on a track, you're either on the track or you're off the track. There's nothing on here that says, oh, you're coming to this trail junction, go straight through. There's no sort of navigational information. You're either on it or off it, and that's how navigating on a track works. All right, so let's talk about routes real quick. Now, routes are, in the purest form or the traditional form, it's just a series of waypoints, and you're letting the device get you from waypoint A to B to C, however many you might have, and there are limitations. I think it's 250 for the GPSMAP 66. But basically, the GPS is taking the information that it has available, which on the GPSMAP is the onboard maps. On something like Google Maps, it's using traffic and weather and road closures, but it's making the decisions for you in terms of how to get from A to B. So unlike a track where we're specifically saying, keep me on this line right here, on this one, let's go from, say, Strawberry Peak to Cobb Estate. Now, I could walk there directly on trails, but if I let Google Maps route me, you can see it's bringing me in this big circuitous route here, and that's because it's deciding that's the way it's going to go. I also have it on driving. If I changed it to hiking, it'll probably bring me right through, yeah. So it's bringing me right through, but this is the quickest way through. It's not saying, oh, you know what, you should stop at Mount Low Trail Camp, or why don't you go around Echo Mountain because that's a really cool place. There's nothing about the features here aside from like getting from point A to point B on a route. And that's how a route works. Now, tracks and routes are both saved in GPX files. Those are text files, and I have a full article. I'll put a link to that under here if you want to get into the nitty-gritty of what's in there and learn a little bit more of that. There are sort of variations of how these work. But anyway, what's happened in recent years is that Garmin has been pointing everyone towards a course file. And a course file kind of has the best of both worlds. It's essentially a track and a route put together. I think the genesis of a course came from the cycling computers, from the Edge computers around 2010-ish, maybe a little bit earlier. But the idea was that if you're riding a bike, you don't want to ride between point A and point B on an interstate, which is probably the quickest way. You want to take the roads that you want to take on your bike, and now we can use it with hiking or running or whatever we want to do. Now, before we get into it, just a quick note, a fit file is the format for a course, and it's a binary file. You cannot open it with a text editor. And you can, but it's going to look like garbage, and you can't edit it yourself. That's the important thing. It also includes more information than just the points, and it can include fitness information. You can record information, like let's say if you're on a bike, you can record your power, or if you have a heart rate monitor, you can record all those things in a fit file too, which is not natively supported in a GPX file. Those are sort of GPX file extensions, but that's what a course file is. Let's go ahead and create a course so you can see it in action. It'll make a little more sense. All right, I'm here in Garmin Connect on the web, and I'll show you how to do this in Garmin Explorer in a second too, but if I go to Connect, Training, Courses, and then I do Create a Course, we'll pick hiking. I can pick an activity, and let's do Continue, and let's go ahead and create a course, and we'll go here. And you can see that it's routed me around the corner automatically. It's hugging to the trails, and if I click here, well, it brought me that way. I can drag it around. I can, do things like this. It's going to bring me there. But I can pull this around and kind of change the way the course is working. So it's not a breadcrumb. It's dynamically creating this for me when I'm choosing the course, and it will route me on this course when I go. So let's just make this a little bit simpler for illustration's sake here. Let me pull this point back down here, but you could see this is the idea when you're creating a course. You can make sure that you're on the specific trails and places that you want to go when you're creating it. And that's where it's really handy, and that's why I think Garmin is pushing everyone towards this now, because this is much easier to understand than a track or a route. So here we are, we have our course. Let's give it a name. Test from Connect Web, and then save it. Now when I sync Connect to my Connect app on my phone, and then sync my phone to my GPS map via the Garmin Connect app, this won't sync through Explorer. I have to do it through Connect. It will be on the unit, and then we can navigate this course. So let's do that in a second. Before I do, let me show you Garmin Explorer. Now, one thing to note, if you're on the web version of Garmin Explorer on the map, you cannot create courses. I don't know why. I don't know why this isn't better yet. I've talked about this before, but it just is what it is. So if I click, like I was just on Garmin Connect, and I went from the parking lot here to here, you can see it's not snapping to the lines to the path right there. It's just giving me a point. And if I click around, say I want to go here, and we'll save it, you can see it saves it as a route. But what it'll do essentially is it'll let my GPS map route it. And if you've used this before, you know how that goes. But anyway, that's how that works. Let me go on the app and show you how it works there, because the app does support courses now. All right, so here I am in Garmin Explorer on my phone, and you can see there it's brought in this track that we had before. Let's go ahead and delete this. There we go. Delete. Okay, clean it up there. So let's go ahead and create a course here. Now to create a course here, I'm just going to hit the plus. I can import a GPX file, which will turn into a course, but I can also create a course. And let's start here, and let's go here. And you can see it's brought me around the line there, and we can pull it wherever. I can do it here, and it brings me around. So it works the same way as we looked on the web. It's a little bit harder to use on the phone. I can snap this down. You can kind of pull it around there. There we go. That's fine. So I have the course on there. Let's go ahead and save it. Test from mobile. Okay. So now it's on there, and now I'm going to want to sync Explore and Connect with my GPS map. So I'll do that, and then we'll go hit the trail. One other thing that is worth noting, if I do this, I can do import GPX. All right, here we go, GPX. Import successful, and now it's in there. And if I go to my library and I go here, you can see it's brought it in, and it will be treated as a course if I bring it onto the GPS map. So that's a really easy way to use courses in a practical sense. But anyway, let's take that other one. Let's sync this to the GPS map, and we'll get out there and see what it looks like on the trail. All right, so here we are at the trailhead, and if you go to the menu, once you updated your firmware, you'll see a new menu item down here called Course Planner. So let's click on that, and we can create a course on the device. I'll show you how to do that after we navigate. And then we can take a created course that we did before. So here is my test that I sent. So let's go into there. You can see similar to like a route or a track, I get like information about it. But let's go ahead and go here and hit go. And it says we're approaching point 1. That was probably the first point that we had, but that's a good thing. So let's go enter to continue. And there you can see we have that purple line like we would if we were navigating with a track or a route. So let's go ahead and start following the line down the path here and see what happens. I just said that I've arrived at point 1, so I was approaching and now I've arrived. So that's a good thing. And now let's keep hiking. One other thing to note, that on the new Fenix and Epix watches, there's things called course points, and those are little waypoints along the course that you can get alerts for and ETAs, or estimated distances for. They don't have that on the 66. Maybe that's something that's going to come in on this one, or maybe a new, I'm pretty sure the new, whatever the new handheld will be, would have that, but it's not on this right now. But anyway, let's keep hiking up the path and see what happens next. Now, one thing I mentioned earlier is that a course gives us navigation information like a route does. And here on my trip computer page, you can see I have the distance to the next, I have my ETA, I have a course pointer. I can see I'm off the course by 7 feet to the right. So I have all of those tools that I normally have when I'm navigating a route. But again, if I go to the map page, I still have the line, and I'm making sure I'm off the line. Now we're going to go off of the route and get an off-course alarm. But let's go ahead and hike up to this intersection and see what happens. Okay, so I'm almost at the intersection there, and one thing that's interesting is I have not gotten a turn alert like I would if I had a course on my Fenix or Epix, which would give me turn alerts as I approach the turn. So it's not telling me I have to do that. Which is interesting. Let's go ahead and walk off the trail here so we can get an off-course alarm and see what that looks like. Let's go. All right, you can see here, I should be making the right. Make the left. I'm gonna make the right. And let's get this to tell us we're in the wrong place. So I look at the trip computer, it's telling me I'm 100 feet off. So there's probably some sort of threshold where it'll give you an alarm. I wish you could set that threshold, your off-course threshold. If you have an Apple Watch or an Apple or an iPhone, maybe Android too, there's a program called Work Outdoors where you can specify what that alarm is, how far off course it has to be before it tells you about it. But anyway, let's keep going until we get the alarm and see what happens. Oh, look at that. I don't have to go anywhere. Maybe it was a time-based thing, but there you can see we're off course, enter to dismiss. You can see the pointer is pointing backwards, which makes sense because we went the opposite direction. So let's go ahead and go back to the course, and we should get an on-course alarm once we get back. So there it is. There's our on-course alarm letting us know we're back where we need to be. And you can see, there we go, transflective screen. You can see that we're back on the purple line. So let's go to the end and see what happens. All right, we're approaching the end point over here. I haven't gotten an alarm, but it should give me an alarm like it did when we started out for that first point. So let's keep going and see what happens. All right, here we are, pretty close. And there we go. There we go. Approaching the point, and let's go ahead and continue, see what happens. Well, that was weird. I just got the approaching the point notification, and then it just sort of, the course disappeared. I'm not navigating anymore, so I guess that's how it works. Not exactly how I would think it would work, but I guess if we're going somewhere and that's the end, that would be the end anyway. And if we wanted to get near a point, we could always set a proximity alarm with a waypoint. So there's things we can do to work around that. But anyway, that's how the course works. Let me show you how to create a course on the device. All right, so let's go to the course planner. and then we can do create course, and then it's going to ask us if we want direct path, so a direct line, or use the onboard maps to route us on roads and everything. We're going to do roads, select the first point. Now we can use the map to kind of bop around here and add points on here. So let's just go up on the map, click use, point added to course, and we can just go through and add a bunch of them here. Use. Okay, and if I back out of this, there you can see it's routed me on there. It's created the route. And it's calculated and we're good. So if I back out of this, there are the points that I put in there. I can reorder it, or I could hit done. Now it's calculating it, and now it's on there for us to use, just like we planned it out. Now, if you have an activity or a track on here, you can create a course from that. If I go to the track itself, and then I go to the menu, I can save it as a course, so it'll let me navigate that. Same with activities, and same with routes. If I go to the route, menu, save as course. So that's how it works. Obviously, doing it on the device doesn't give you all the control that you have when you're on something like a desktop computer. And I probably, if I needed to just navigate somewhere quickly from my device, I would probably just use a route to, if I needed to bail off a trail or get to a hospital or something, I'd probably just use a route. But for planning ahead of time, the course seems to be the way to go. So that's courses on the 66. Not quite a seamless experience, but definitely a good tool to have in the toolbox, especially if you're planning beforehand or importing a GPX, then you want to navigate with it on your 66. It's a great way to do that, probably the best way to do that. Now, after all this, if you have any questions, just go to the comments on YouTube, check out what other people have asked. If it's not asked already, ask me. I'll do my best to answer it. And if you find something about courses that you find interesting or helpful that you think might help other people, please leave a comment about that too. You'll save someone else probably some grief by sharing your experience as well. All right, guys, that's it, and I'll see you out on the trails.